This is going to be fun, not just because she's got a brand new podcast. It's called Over the Top with Peter Rosenberg. It's on Wondery, but because she's just awesome and fun. And it's been a while. Joining us now on the Rich Eisen Show, the great Michelle Beadle. What's going on, Beadle?
Just working like it's the beginning of my career all over again. Staying busy.
But doesn't that kind of feel cool to launch a new venture?
It really does. I think it's the sort of the exciting beginning to things. And when you get to work with people that you actually really like, I think that's the best part. It's not really work, if we're being honest. None of this feels like real work. I think I know what real work would feel like, and this ain't it.
Yeah, like talking about Victor Wembanyama isn't actually work. You would have been doing it in your free time regardless, like over coffee, over a cocktail, whatever. That's what you would be doing. So if somebody wants to put a microphone in front of you, then so be it. We can call it a show.
Yes, I think that is now considered work. And I appreciate. I mean, by the way, I'm loving how much he's sort of changing minds so early on in this. And granted, it's so early, but to see sort of hardened veterans of the game and ex-players all kind of start coming around, it's quite fascinating to watch this unfold.
It is, but at the same time, is there any fear, not that he can't handle it, and I realize this is the industry and the jobs we have chosen. Like, this is what we do. We scream and yell and make outrageous statements. But when people already want to go, oh, he's going to be better than LeBron. Like, don't you want to just say, shut up?
Yeah, by the way, I've always hated that. I think hyperbole and bizarre superlatives are not healthy. They make me uncomfortable. It's like words like never in front. It's why I don't like wedding vows. I think that wedding vows are so extreme. No, you know what I mean? It's like forever. And no, we know by math, it's not forever. If it's a good long time, great. And that's how I feel about Wemby. If we get a good long career and it's fun, I'm here. I'm here for all of that.
Okay, so then what should we change the standard wedding vow to?
Hey, love you. Love hanging out with you. I hope this thing goes as long as possible. And let's have a great time.
Until death do us part.
Oh, no.
So maybe until maybe one day I see your DMs on Instagram do us part.
Until maybe you bore me and I have to move on. And then, but we may never get there. My vows would be very rambling, but they would get the message across.
Right. Until maybe one day, no, I don't care if you go out of town this weekend. No. Do we part? Something like that.
Now you get it.
We're talking to Michelle Beadle along with Peter Rosenberg. She has a brand new podcast launching on Wondery. Love the whole Wondery platform, by the way. This week, it is called, did I say Over the Top? Yes, I did. I'm making sure I get that out. Let's go back to week number 9. Yes. Eagles, Cowboys. We spent a lot of time on this on Monday. The thing that scares me about the Cowboys, not that they lost, they lost to a really good team. One they're going to get again week 14 and maybe, if we're lucky, in January as well. It's the same story, Michelle. It's that they mismanage all the little things that they can't stand to mismanage at the end of the games.
Yeah, for me, the Cowboys, the coverage is always crazy with the Cowboys, right? I mean, we start preseason, we start before preseason with expectations that seem to be always just a bit too high. And, it starts in the house. It starts with Jerry Jones himself. That being said, this particular week, it's crazy to hear everyone speak of this as a good win. I've never heard such positive kumbaya vibes around a win. Like, if you didn't know any better, you'd think the Eagles lost the way some of this has been talked about. And I get it. I think Dak Prescott, much like most quarterbacks, they get the blame and they get the credit. And in his particular case, there's been a lot of blame and there's a narrative that follows him around. Unfortunately for him, I think none of that goes away until, I'm not even saying you got to win the Super Bowl, dude. I'm saying you got to get to the Super Bowl. I think maybe that is when some of that negative stuff stops, but it's frustrating. And Cowboys fans it's one of the loudest, most passionate fan bases. Some would say sometimes delusional. And I think that's sort of where we are. I do a show on Sirius now, and my co-host even was just talking so positively. I'm like, hold on. Who won the game? I feel like we're giving out moral victories now. And so that's where we are with this Cowboys team. Expectations are high. When they fall short, we try to find ways, I guess, to say this one was a good win compared to some of their bad wins. Losing to the Cardinals, like, that's not something that you want to look back on. But I don't buy them. I haven't bought them ever, even though I grew up in Texas. It's just a team that I feel like lets you down in the end. Not since the 90s.
Dak always says the right thing about like there's no other job I love Dak, by the way. There's no other job I want, and this is what I'm built. Like, this is such an honor to have this job, and why would I ever criticize this job? I would love, though, to see it peeled back one of these days, to have him go like, man, like it is just tough out there. Like, like no matter what I do, we could win by 50, and I'm going to turn on the TV the next day, and there's an entire industry. By the way, we're part of it.
Yeah.
An entire industry that has, we joke about the script, the narrative in hand, ready to say this if we win by 50 or this if we lose by 50. It's because it drives the beast. I mean, it drives the car. Mix all your metaphors all you want. Like, this pushes the story for the whole league for the whole week.
It really does. And it's crazy because you're right. He does say all the right things. I mean, I would not have that kind of grace under that kind of fire. But we don't talk about the other quarterbacks like him. We don't talk about Josh Allen if Josh Allen is struggling. And by the way, that being said, Dak didn't struggle. I mean, he threw for almost,
played a great
400
game.
something yards. He did what he was going to do. He just, because he's right, that star carries with it a different, whether it's realistic or not, a different set of expectations. And I do think he's wired for it. I don't think that everybody would be wired for that. I would love to give him a truth serum one day. Maybe when he's done, maybe some more truths would come out. But yeah, there got to be days where he's with just friends or family where he tells the truth, and he's just, it must be frustrating.
Yeah. For all the guys that say, I'm off social media, I don't watch TV. If I were him, I would mean that. Like, I can't and I couldn't. Beadle, one last thing here in the NFL. Do you think what we saw from Antonio Pierce and the Raiders and all that on Sunday, do you think that's sustainable?
I don't think so. Well, I say I don't think so. There are just some organizations that seem to be dysfunctional. And there's that new coach, first game, Jeff Saturday being recent memory. They have to win it. I think it's an actual competitive law that if you have a coach on the sidelines for the first time, you have to win that game. It does feel, however, a little different in the sense that, man, all the stories that are coming out after McDaniels is gone, like there's a toxic environment and players seem to have been miserable. And you see sort of like a Devontae Adams face there's a joy or almost like a pressure lifted. So, I can't pretend to know what it was like in that locker room. I can only go off of the stories that we're being told and the quotes that are out and about now, but it can't be worse. And they've made a very big, clear point to make it an interim coaching job. I don't know why they were so set on that. You never know. Again, forever and never, you shouldn't use those words, but it's definitely better. And to at least they get the rest of this season to play out not the way it was. Mike, what a dysfunction.
Yeah.
Truly.
I mean, I've never seen Victory Cigars week 9 when you don't clinch anything.
Against a Giants team that's like lost their quarter. I mean, it's just chaos.
Yeah, they're 4-5 now, which, hey, you're in the conversation in either conference at 4-5, but they were actually smoking the Victory Cigars and had the owner in the locker room hugging it out.
Right?
Yeah, just nuts. So give me in your words, the podcast, again, it's called Over the Top, where you guys have the Royal Rumble. Let's close it with this. Every single week, where you're trying to determine the biggest story on earth. Is that what we're doing?
Biggest, most important story on earth, obviously. Yeah, we speak for everyone. And Peter comes from a massive wrestling background, and Over the Top rules, Royal Rumble rules for that, are just every 90 seconds, a new story introduces itself. We know the topics. We don't know the order of the topics. So sometimes we might get screwed and end up with the most important topic on earth being ridiculous. This first week, though, that we came out, Flavor Flav singing the anthem won, which is obviously that was the most important story on earth last week. So
how did that happen? Like how did anyone in Milwaukee go, hey, you know what? This is a good idea.
You know what's better than that is that he says he's had offers from other NBA teams since. So yes, let it spread.
Help.
Let it spread. So yeah,
Help.
And it's quick. It's a quick listen. My attention span can't handle more than about 30 minutes at a time. So that's what we shoot for, and that's what we're going to do. True
story. I once rented a Flavor Flav in the Best Buy in Westwood. He was just chilling.
Did you say anything?
I took a picture. Don't know what the picture is. It was like on an old cell phone, like that wasn't on like long before iPhones or even Android, and I have no idea where it is. I'm going to find it one day. But yes, there is a picture somewhere of me and Flavor Flav at a Best Buy that's not even there anymore in Westwood.
Oh, Well, that's a sad
right,
statement.
by UCLA. It would not be the biggest story on earth, however, on Over the Top, the new podcast, Michelle Beadle and Peter Rosenberg. It's always great to talk to you. It's been too long. Good luck with this, Michelle.
It has. Thank you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.